This podcast is brought to you by BestBonobos, the AI-powered platform that helps you sell your small business yourself.
Welcome to another episode of the Business Owners Unfiltered podcast, and today I'm delighted to have Andrew with me, Andrew Yasynyshyn, who is one of the co-founders of Ralabs. He'll introduce himself in a little bit, but first of all, what are we going to talk about? So today we have a very important topic for a lot of small business owners, SaaS founders, software and e-commerce founders, etc. We're going to talk about whether to outsource or not. So when we started BestBonobos, last year, we had the same question. So we were wondering, are we going to hire developers ourselves? Are we going to put them on the payroll? Or are we going to look for a company that is going to build it for us and have that flexibility? So we decided to go with the outsourcing opportunity. That option gave us a lot of flexibility. We're going to talk about that in a bit. And Ralabs is the company that built BestBonobos. So thank you very much, Andrew, for building that. We're very happy with the platform. With that said, could you give a little introduction on yourself? And for the ones that are viewing, probably they want to know what's that on the background, because you have some very interesting music instruments behind you. So introduce yourself and elaborate a little on those instruments, because I'm so curious.
Of course, yeah. Elias, thank you very much for having me on this podcast. It's a big honor to be here. So a little bit on myself. I'm a proud father of two small sons. I'm running an outsourcing company for the last 10 years. Before that, I worked, I started working at 14 years because I come from a very humble background, so I had to work. I really enjoyed that. But at the same time, I always had this entrepreneur in me. So at age, I think, 17, I started to do some music events, which went quite fine. As you can hear, music is a big part of my life. And so I have few music instruments behind me. I play drums, double bass, and guitar. I maybe spend half of the hour a day playing. And I had a small time in my life when I was building music instruments. So I built few double basses and few electric guitars. So those two are the ones that you need if you have kids that sleep in the morning or during the evening, because they are called silent instruments. So this is a silent lineup from Yamaha. You have a silent double bass and a silent guitar. The best part about them, they, exactly like the same instrument, like an acoustic one, but you hear it only in your headphones.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing. So for those that are listening only and not viewing this podcast, this is absolutely a reason to go look us up on YouTube, because then you can see what's behind Andrew on the wall. So let's go to the topic now. So as said, BestBonobos was built by Ralabs. We were kind of on that AI hype, which you are seeing as well. First of all, I'd like to know from you, for small company founders and maybe mid-sized companies that are not the big ones and have the huge in-house teams. How should founders think about outsourcing versus building in-house?
That is a very challenging question, because even though we are an outsourcing company, we outsource a lot of our work. We outsource legal part, we outsource parts of the things that we are not doing, for example, integration of SaaS systems, financial systems, and other things. And outsourcing or hiring a service company is always a challenge, because it's not buying something cheap, and also you tend to work for a very long time with the people that you hire. So it's almost like going into a very expensive car shop and buying a very expensive a car, but at the same time having the same person as your personal driver for like at least, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. So it's a very personal decision that you have to make. And even though people only sometimes do rational decisions, most of our decisions are emotional, as proven by many, many books.
Yep, absolutely.
This is the thing that you need to spend time and make a very rational decision. So for anyone looking for outsourcing, the first advice is not just having 1 or 2 or 3 options. Have as many options as you can handle. When you are selecting the company that you want to work with. And at the same time, if you are making a decision on outsourcing or not, this should be a rational financial or data-driven decision. Is it possible for you to hire the team of 10 engineers? Is it possible for you to interview a team of 10 engineers with different tech stacks? Who will be interviewing those engineers? Is it even reasonable for you to spend time on hiring a team of 10 engineers that you want to assign on a task that will last, let's say, for half of the year? What should you do after this half of the year? Is it better maybe to hire freelance engineers? What is the accountability of the freelance engineer? So there are a lot of questions that come into this decision.
Absolutely. So we faced that challenge last year when we were selecting an outsourcing company, because we have made those decisions as well, and we were also, we have investigated different options, like you said, hiring freelancers, putting them on the payroll. So first of all, for us, it was unreasonable to find these people short term in the US or in the Netherlands. So you'll have to take that into account because they're hard to find. Then you have to indeed say, hey, what if we do freelancing? What is their commitment, and specifically their commitment to us as someone that is hiring them? Because if there's a better opportunity, they just might go for that. So we decided to go for outsourcing, and then the whole party starts. Because you need to select an outsourcing party, not only based on technology, like what are you going to build, but also based on geography for us. So, for example, we are based in Europe, so for us, we had to work with people, as you said, for a couple of years, so we were planning ahead. So you need to like that, as you said, driver that you're gonna have with you for a couple of years. And for us, the big thing was culture, because we have investigated different options. So we have investigated outsourcing within Europe, like there is cheaper and a lot of outsourcing options within Europe, in Southern Europe, for example, in Portugal has a lot of options, and there are some others in more Eastern Europe. Then we looked into Asia, India, the southern part of South America, and we have looked at the Ukraine. And maybe you can elaborate a little bit on those cultural fits that you have as a company, because you work with companies from Europe and the US and maybe other parts of the world. So could you describe how important that cultural fit is when you're outsourcing to a party like Ralabs?
So first, just elaborate on the geographies that we are reaching with our company. So we have clients, I would say, from Singapore to US. So we have clients in Singapore, in US, in Europe, in Great Britain. Our biggest markets, the biggest market share we have is US, Great Britain, and Netherlands. I think it's mostly also about cultural fit. So for us, it's just easier to work with the outlying countries and people from those countries. And also, it's a little bit easier for us based on the timeline. But Ralabs itself is also a team of people from different countries. I was wanting to say international, but it's not yet international company. But we have people from Jordan, we have people working from Canada, have people working from US, have people working from different parts of Europe, Spain, Portugal. And yes, a lot of people are working from Eastern Europe, and the biggest team is here in Ukraine, Lviv.
Yep, absolutely. So, zooming in a little on that fit, I can elaborate a little bit on our experiences because I have worked with companies in the past in software development in Asia, for example. And what I've seen is that there is a big, I would say, I could call it a misfit, but that's a little harsh. It's just a difference in cultures as to what expectations are, because you're working remote. So it's not always, well, we haven't seen each other a lot. So we have met in Amsterdam with a part of the team. Yeah. But from what my experience is that having worked in American teams and European teams, and now working with your team from the Ukraine, which is, as you said, based all over the world. So if we have a team call, they're calling in from all over the world, and they're always on time. They're always doing what they say they will do. So they meet deadlines. They act like an internal team would do. So that's what I really appreciate. And I've seen that different with teams, for example, in Asia that just have a different culture, and for example have problems with saying no. And if something is not possible, the Ralabs team just told us, hey, this is not feasible, we can't do this. And I appreciate that very much, having that direct feedback. I'd rather have that than someone saying me, yes, we can do that, and then not meeting the deadline or extending a deadline. So I think there's a big cultural fit. As to selecting those outsourcing parties, what are the biggest mistakes you see company owners make when they're starting to work with an outsourcing or selecting an outsourcing party?
I just want to return back to your comment, if I may. So you mentioned something that you recognize our culture, and just reading from our values, just the first value in the list is transparency without panic. This is just the kind of values that we have in the company. We always share everything that we know, everything that we find, every risk. And if something is not feasible, regardless if it has or has no monetary benefit for us, we'll just mention this, and it's better for us not to have a business than to have a failing business for our partner. And just want to share the vision of our company is we want to grow by making our partners grow, and we always build partner relations. So we don't want to act as vendor. We want to act as a partner, as a dedicated team, and we want you to feel as we are a part of your team and we are invested in the success of your company. Yep. Sorry, just wanted to mention this because I think
very
it's
important and very much appreciated. So coming back to the question I had, so about what potential mistakes do business owners make when they select outsourcing companies like yours?
So making a quick decision, the most important part of any business, in my personal honest opinion, is hiring. Whether it's hiring a vendor or it's hiring in-house people. If you hire somebody who is not fit for your challenge, either it's lacking experience or lacking in the culture fit, it will be just hard time working with this party, whether it's a person or a company. So making a quick decision on hiring is one of the biggest mistakes in my opinion. And I have numbers to support this, because a lot of business that we receive is business coming from companies leaving their initial vendor and searching for somebody who will be a better fit for them. Yeah, so this is one. Another is just having two little options and selecting from just few options. Now it's a lot easier to make this kind of research. It's a lot harder on our side, meaning for marketing, we need to think about AI optimization, AI search optimization now. But with AI, you can make a quick research based on your criteria. And select the best company, that the list of best companies, like a short list of those companies, and then send out a request for proposal to all of those companies. I haven't seen this third mistake happening a lot, but it was a kind of mistake before. Some companies, especially for smaller assignments, they were not willing to jump on a call and just introduce themselves, meet the team. It kind of makes sense for small assignments, that's okay, but still working with people is the most important part. Yeah. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. Unfortunately, I don't remember the name of the podcast or the name of the speaker. And the speaker mentioned something very interesting, that in the chase of cost optimization, some companies are making decisions to optimize or automate some part of the work with something, with technology, and replace people. Most often, the people who are making such decisions, who are responsible for the optimizations, are not the people who will then be responsible for the consequence that will happen in 2, 3, or 5 years. And he used as an example the doorkeepers from hotels who were just replaced by the automation doors. But the people who made this decision, they forget that doorkeepers are actually responsible for meeting the clients, helping them with packs, actually serving as a little bit of security, making sure that there's no one outside of the hotel standing waiting for something. So yeah, that's just something that I find very curious on my end.
It's absolutely, and so sorry for interrupting you, because you said you haven't seen it a lot. We have faced it during the selection procedure a couple of times.
Yeah.
So we had companies that we were presenting to us. So we just asked for a proposal. They would present the proposal to us, and we would have a Zoom meeting, and we were only looking at pictures, no real video. So we had 6 people in the room. The only ones that had their videos turned on were ourselves. So my co-founder and me were calling in, and we were just looking at names in screens. 6 people that were trying to sell us an outsourcing. So we've had that with 2 parties actually, and that was the number one reason for us to let's say the first reason to drop them from the list, because I'm not gonna work with someone that I can't see. Why are you not showing your face? Because we're gonna work a lot together, so I'd like to know who I'm dealing with.
Yes.
So that was one of the I think parties in Asia, probably India, I think. Although they might do great work, I would still like to know who I'm speaking to. So sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead. You had a 4th point, probably.
Yes. Quite obvious one. It should be a fit based on your budget. So you need to select a company that will give you the most value for the budget that you have. And it's one of the hardest decisions to make, because the only way for you to be sure that they will meet your expectations and not go over budget or under scope is to read through all of the case studies. A little bit better way is to ask for an introduction to one of their clients. So if you select a case study that you really like, just ask for an introduction, because we act as a partner. All of our clients are willing to speak with any of our new clients. That's absolutely okay for them. And having this kind of conversation is very important, because this way you can ask questions that are important for you and ask them to elaborate on the questions that are important for you, not just reading the case studies that are creating. And to be frank, most of the case studies that you will be reading on the outsourcing companies, they are mostly created by the outsourcing companies. Sometimes they are created by the outsourcing companies together with the client. We always use the second approach. So we first ask if we can create a case study, and we always explain that this is a case study that may benefit you because you will have some exposure through our marketing materials. And then together with the client, we are creating the case study that will showcase best their abilities and their product.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And last thing, just not to make his list very big, because it can be like 100 criteria that you need to keep in mind. But the last thing, you need to be sure that the people you are talking to are on top of technology. They are not selling you something that was working yesterday, something that is already old, maybe something that is not supported anymore. They are not selling you the solutions that will take more time and that will require more money on your end to spend. Because if you if you will go with this kind of route, you will end up with a new system built with already legacy technology, and legacy upgrade, it's a very expensive task. You don't want to do legacy upgrade just like the first months of your new business.
No, absolutely. And to come back to I think it was your fifth point, was about the network and people that you know and can refer you to Ralabs. That was actually our first introduction to Ralabs. It was an existing customers of yours in the Netherlands called Optimize. They're an AI-powered Google Ads and other, I think Microsoft Bing Ads platform. And the owner, or one of the co-founders, Vincent, reacted to a LinkedIn post that I did. So the first thing we did to make a short list of potential vendors was reaching out to our network on LinkedIn and ask for warm introductions. That was like the very first thing we did. And that's how we had a long list of probably 7 companies on which Ralabs was one. And till today, I think, we still work together with Optimize because they're doing our Google Ads at the moment. So
great.
For BestBonobos. So we're working together. So we're kind of in that ecosystem that Ralabs created, which is fun. So talking about that technology, your last point, so being on top of technology. How has AI changed outsourcing?
We have a big advantage in our company because 2 co-founders of the company are engineers, and I don't have a day when I'm not spending time either on coding or on research of new technology. I would say that this is a little bit of problem for our people in the company, because we are always sending messages like, what do you think about this new tool, or what do you think about this new open source? Let us try using this open source for this kind of challenge. So we have to be stopped sometime. But we have our own spaces to share. I have a newsletter. It's called the CEO Who Codes. And Roman, co-founder, he started a podcast. So it will be on YouTube. It's about just updates in the world of technologies. And the quick answer is it's very hard to be on top of what's happening now, especially with AI. And as an example, we'll give you, I was speaking at 2 conferences during the last 2 months. So first one was cybersecurity conference in Kiev. And I was presenting how to use the private and open source large language models for the highly closed industries that have a lot of restrictions. And 3 weeks after that, I had the same talk at the AI Day, also at Kiev, and this presentation had to be remade one day before the presentation. And during the day of presentation, a lot of things that I was presenting were already like old, legacy.
Outdated.
Outdated, exactly, yes. And now it's completely outdated. So I was speaking about how to run some of the biggest models like Kimi K2.5, which I believe Cursor is using, then Gwen and other models. They are extremely big. And now there are a lot of models appearing which are a lot smaller, that are using something called either Mamba 2 architecture or using hyper-quantization, and they require a lot less hardware. So if anyone from my previous tech talks decided to build their own cluster, spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars for running those big models, I am really, really sorry, because in like 2 or 3 months from now, you will be spending, I think you will be spending much less on the hardware.
Absolutely.
So we have few things in the company to make sure that we are staying on top. So 2 I already mentioned, podcasts and the newsletter. And then we have internal events. So all of our people are speaking about their findings and new technologies. And we have a very great person joining us as a head of technology just recently, who is really on top of what's happening in the tech world. But what I really like, he is not believing in any kind of hype. Everything that he reads or sees, he is checking, and he's very precise on what's working and what's not working in the world of technology. Yeah,
I can see that. So we're almost at the end of the podcast, and given well, looking back at the answers you gave, I think one of the learnings a lot of founders that are listening might have is that outsourcing, specifically in this AI age, makes a business way more scalable, faster scalable, so probably also more valuable. So your valuation as a company might go up, and that's what we do at BestBonobos, of course. So that's something you can measure on the platform. But as a final question, Andrew, if a founder wants to improve productivity in their team fast, and I'm talking specifically about development, what should they do this week?
Oh, okay. If you're not using tools like Cloud Code or Cursor or similar tools for software development, I would recommend starting using them, but I would recommend doing this in a very smart way. We had a very big problem with one of our clients who hired a freelance engineer who wipe coded. I don't like this term, but I think this is exactly what he did. He wipe coded a healthcare API, which was a month later hacked. And they might be facing a really big fee for
like a lawsuit.
Yeah, not a lawsuit, because in healthcare, if some of the patient data is lost or maybe lost,
you get a fine.
Yeah, you'll just get you'll get the fine.
Wow.
And this fine goes from 3 to 17 million pounds.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing. Just by making a mistake and hiring the wrong person.
Yes. So I would recommend first going through some of the recommendations for how to work with such tools. I think we had a publication about how we are using Cloud Code and what are the approaches for using Cloud Code. So far, we don't see those AI tools being a replacement. It's more like a helper, and human in the loop is a lot more important now, because you are sometimes producing a little bit more code or a lot more code, and somebody will need to be responsible, and responsibility is the most important part of it, responsible for the quality, for scalability, for security, and things like that. So if that is a very simple, in my opinion, recommendation, and it's something that will gain you improvement in performance, but be ready if you are getting improvement in software development. Let's say you gain like 20 to 30% gain in software development in the amount of pull requests. That means that you will have to cover for the bottlenecks created in quality assurance, in security checks, penetration checks, etc. So you have the same as DLC, software development lifecycle, but implementation is shorter, which means that the next step will have to happen quicker.
Okay. So with that, Andrew, I'd like to thank you very much for being on the podcast. I'm going to share a link to your LinkedIn profile. I'm going to look if we have a link to your newsletter, because you mentioned CEOs Who Code newsletter. So we're going to share a link to that as well. And I would like to thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Elias, thank you very much for having me on the podcast. And thank you very much for everyone who was listening to this podcast.
Head over to bestbonobos.com to learn more. With Best Bonobos, you can sell your business simply.